You're tuned in to Conscious Body, Cosmic Mind, and in this video, we're doing a full breakdown of the ice pod. What we're not going to do is overstate and overhype the benefits of cold exposure. I'll assume that if you're watching this, you've already been at least introduced to some of the alleged benefits of cold plunging. So rather than trying to convince you of why you should do it, let's just get right into the unpacking and setup. All right, so I've got the base kit here. This is the main body, so the ice pod itself. There's these PVC pipes that go inside, air pump. I think this is the lid or a cover, a little drain hose. And that's basically what comes with the base pack. I also separately ordered this 9-foot drain hose because I'm setting this bad boy up inside. Also have nice little temperature thermometer here so we can see how chilly the water is going to be. Let's see if I can follow simple instructions. So insert the thick poles into the holes on the side of the recovery tub, okay? Is there a certain way that goes? I always like to check which way things are supposed to go because I've had enough instances in my life where I set something up, think it's all done, and then realize I set something up backward. And the ensuing rage is not a good time for anybody. And let's see, it looks like both sides appear to be the same. I don't know that these caps are removable. Looks like they are. Oh boy, I cannot wait to overcomplicate this. I'm just gonna assume that I'm not gonna remove any of these plastic caps since there is no mention of removing them, and we will see how it goes. Okay, this is actually a little bigger than I thought. Gotta say, so far this is going a lot smoother than I anticipated. Seems easy enough that a 2-year-old could do it, and I know that because I'm not having that hard of a time. We're on step 3 here, so we gotta take this little rubber ring, put it around the drain, and screw the tap as tight as possible. This is probably where I'm gonna screw it up. No pun intended. You know, I'm really not sure if there is a right way to do this. I think we got it there, boys. Part 4. Firmly insert the end of the pump into the blowhole of the upper ring. Pump up until all kinks in the inflatable upper ring are removed. See how she goes. I know that I don't get enough views to actually monetize this channel, but I really hope that if I ever do in the future, this isn't something that's gonna Just gonna finish her off here on the ground. Give it a couple more last thrusts. Okay, not bad, not bad. What do you think, Aries? Hey, if you're enjoying hanging out so far, would you consider subscribing to the channel? I'm not getting down from here until you do. Last piece now is to just get the old drain hose set up, and I think we're good to go after that, huh, mamas? This hose came with this little piece that screws into the tap here. That looks like it then just gets married here to the old hose. Just give it some elbow grease, push it in, get a nice tight seal. Don't want any leaks. Yeah. And there we go. So now we've got our pod, our drainage. Now all that's left to do is just put her in her final resting place, fill her up with water and ice, and get in. Aries obviously thinks that this is just a big giant water bowl for her. You want to get that thing, huh? No.
No, Reed.
Alright, here we go. In goes the first block. And of course, anytime that bags are opening, that's a cue for the dogs to come and investigate, because it might be treats. You never know, it might be treats. Block number 2 going in. So those 8 pounds of ice took us down to mid-50s. My ice bricks are taking longer to freeze than I thought, and even when they are totally frozen, I don't think that they're gonna get this temperature down to where I want it. Got about like 30 something more pounds of ice, and we'll see how long that takes it to get cooled down to the level I want. No particular number, but just until, you know, kind of feels uncomfortably cold to the touch. Right now it's cool, it's cold, but it's not uncomfortable really. So block number 3. Now I'm starting to get a little bit nervous about what this is going to feel like. I And that almost immediately dropped the temperature down 2 or 3 degrees. We'll let everything sit here for a little while longer. It is 11:57 on 12/31/23. So here we go.
One thing I was pleasantly surprised about with this pod is that I don't feel cramped when I'm sitting in there, which I did expect to. Granted, I'm 5'5", so, it doesn't take much for me to feel like there's a lot of room, but it does feel more spacious than I was expecting. I also like that the materials feel high quality and durable. Although it's a portable tub, it doesn't feel like something that's gonna break down on me and end up flooding the garage with water and my heart with rage. As far as keeping the pod cold goes, there's a few options depending on your situation. You can obviously just go to the grocery store and buy a bunch of ice. That works, but it does get expensive quite fast. So what I am ended up doing is using their reusable ice bricks. It's basically a plastic bag you fill up with water and freeze it. But you can do the same thing with water bottles, or I'm sure you could get some kind of reusable ice cube type of thing anywhere online. If you have a little bit more to spend and you're looking for a more long-term solution, they do sell an ice pod chiller runs about $1,000, but it does mean that you can keep the water temperature where you want it and not have to continually fill up with ice.
From the time I ordered this to the time that I actually set it up and started making this video, the company that makes this particular pod, the Pod Company, has come out with a bunch of new products to help clean, maintain, and even improve the user experience of the pod, which tells me that they're interested in continually innovating and improving their products. And as a consumer and just somebody who really likes their toys, that's something that I really appreciate and I'm happy to support. And although I think cold plunging is something of a fad right now, just because I think it's a fad doesn't mean that everybody else does. And I like to support people who are passionate about their mission. It just makes me feel good that this doesn't seem to be one of those companies that's just trying to make a buck on the latest craze. They seem to actually care about what they're doing, even if I don't necessarily completely agree that this thing is as important as some other folks may think. Being in here kind of reminds me of this time my family went to Lake Tahoe. We were all at the lake, and we thought we were just, maybe gonna hang out on the beach, get some sun, until we saw our grandma walking toward the water. And if you're familiar with Lake Tahoe, you know that it's really, really cold. So my cousins and I looked at each other and we thought, there's no way she's gonna get all the way in. But sure enough, she walks in and then just keeps walking in, waist deep, chest deep, all the way to her neck. And I'm just in shock because, I had put my feet into the lake, felt how extremely uncomfortable it was. I thought, there's no way I'm getting in this. Absolutely no way. And here she is, 70-something-year-old grandma, chilling, just completely calm. My cousins and I, we look at each other and not wanting to get shown up by grandma, we go in and we're screaming and hollering and making a big scene. And I don't know how long we stayed in, but that sensation has stayed with me. Not only because of how uncomfortable it was, but because at the time, this is in my early 20s, I was competing in powerlifting, training really heavy, had basically no idea what I was doing in terms of load management, recovery, and so I was feeling really, really, really beat up all the time. I'm talking like I could barely squat to parallel, just my body weight, without my hips aching and feeling in pain. But what I noticed after getting back to the cabin was that I could squat full depth, no pain, no issues. All that tension, that tightness that was in my body seemed to have melted away. And the only way I had to explain it was getting into that lake, getting into that cold water. And so from then on, I've been really interested in cold exposure. For the longest time, being able to cold plunge was not that accessible unless you had a body of water nearby or the financial resources to have something like this. But these days, it's a lot more accessible to get something like this. And if you go on Amazon, you'll find more search results for cold plunge than you're going to know what to do with. I'm just really happy to see that this is more accessible these days. One thing I really like about this is the outer ring. It just gives you a place to rest your head, so you can kind of get a little bit comfortable, even though you're going to be really uncomfortable. And here comes the queen. Hi, baby. When it's time to get out, it should be a choice. It should be your choice to consciously decide, I'm going to get out now. Not, oh my gosh, this is unbearable, I have to get out. I really like having this little LED light in here. It just makes the ambience just a little bit nicer. And you can change the colors. This is blue because I'm freezing. But it can also
change it to something a little bit more warm, like a nice pink or purple.
Overall, in my opinion, this is a solid purchase if you're looking to dip your toe into the cold plunge world without committing to an extremely expensive setup or DIYing your own plunge. If you want to grab a pot of your own and get $10 off of your order, you can use the link in the description below to do that. Just so you know, that is an affiliate link, meaning if you order through my link, I'll get a small commission on that, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. You'll save $10. That's how I afford to feed Venom and Aries the good dog food.